What's good? Bo back at you with another video, and today I'm going to be discussing the Council of Blood fight in the upcoming raid for Shadowlands. Keep in mind, this is early on in the beta, and at the time of recording this video, this fight could be subject to changes before the release of the actual raid. Unfortunately, I will not be able to showcase all the extra mechanics related to this fight due to having limited time to test the encounter, and it's just dependent on how far my guild is able to get during the fights. But I will be able to cover a majority of the fight. General things about the fight: this is a 3 boss fight. If you kill one of them, then the others will get empowered with a new ability and they will get restored to full HP. We opted to tank them at the edge of the room to dodge these dancers that would come throughout the fights. They basically came through the sides and basically took up the entire room except the edges, and it was just way easier. There's some space between them, but it's just a lot easier to dodge if they're just towards the edge of the room. They will also be doing constant raid damage with their ability Oppressive Atmosphere every 10 seconds, and this does stack, so healers, look out for that. But basically, you're going to be picking your poison on who you want to kill first and which abilities you find more manageable overall. But let's discuss each one of their abilities in more depth. First up, we have Niklaus. And I do not recommend killing this guy first, or else your melee are gonna hate you. Niklaus is going to do an ability called Tactical Advance, where he summons a white looking swirly you have to avoid, or else you will essentially get stunned. This is an extremely mobile fight, so make sure you're always paying attention to your surroundings. Periodically, he's going to summon shields throughout the room that spew out this red zone that comes out in a frontal cone. And if the bosses are caught in this frontal cone, they're going to be taking 90% reduced damage taken. Make sure you move them out of that. This ability is actually super annoying because it happens so frequently, and sometimes the bosses will just sit there casting and you can't do anything, so they're just going to be sitting there in that red zone. They definitely need to change it somehow. I guess just like reduce the frequency of this ability, or do something with the cast of the bosses so that they're movable while they're casting. You can opt to kill the shields, but we just decided it wasn't worth it. When someone dies, he's gonna get empowered and cast Unstoppable Force. This is just another frontal cone. He basically like lances out and shoots out this red frontal cone that your entire raid needs to be in, or else you're gonna take massive damage. So you need to soak it, so you guys are splitting that damage. And if he's the last one alive, he's gonna be casting Castellan's Cadre. I think that's how you say it, but this ability summons 2 stone guards that fixate onto random players. Unfortunately, I do not have any footage of this, but just from the description in the dungeon journal, this does sound pretty AIDS. I don't know, anything that sounds like it's targeting on you makes it seem like it's gonna have huge priority. But we don't know how much HP these mobs are gonna have or how much damage they're gonna be able to dish out when they do reach their target. But who knows, when we get further testing, I'll hopefully have some more footage of this for you guys. Next up, we have Baroness Frida. Tanks on this fight need to pay attention to this nasty debuff she's going to put on you from her ability called Drain Essence, which is going to reduce your max HP by 1% for each stack. So this ability can ramp up pretty quickly, so it's important to pay attention to it, especially when you're tank swapping on the final member we're going to talk about, Stavros. But that dude hits like an absolute truck. We were letting our stacks get to around 24, and it seemed pretty decent. Like, I wasn't feeling like I was in danger a lot, but sometimes Stavros would just come out of nowhere and inflict a lot of damage, so might want to swap and play it a little bit safer and swap around 18. She's also going to cast an ability called Bolt of Power. This is going to do damage to a target, but this ability is interruptible, so make sure you guys are kicking that whenever you can. While she's up, she's also going to be doing something called Anima Fountain. This just basically means there's going to be more swirlies you're going to have to dodge, except these swirlies are going to be red. Think of Waycrest Manor and the Lady Waycrest boss, where she's going to play her organ and the stuff comes out all across the room and you have to dodge it. It's very similar to that. All right, when she gets empowered, this is where things start to get interesting. She's going to be casting Scarlet Letter. So with Scarlet Letter, she's going to be exiling someone to the edge of the room. One person from your raid gets sent to the edge of the room. You do not know which edge of the room she's going to send it to. It could be the north or south edge. This ability is going to do massive damage to that target and create like a circle around them. Your raid needs to be inside that circle to split the damage. But the best way we found to deal with this mechanic is by positioning the bosses in the middle of the room, just so you have less ground to cover. And especially since you don't know which edge is going to come out, it's going to be equidistant for both if you're in the middle. But while we were testing this ability, you are able to grip them out and bring them closer to you, so you had less distance to travel when you did need to reach that person. So, but this ability is extremely AIDS, man. Like, it's just not worth the time. It detracts a lot of damage since you're spending a lot of time just traveling to that target, and the room is massive. It is absolutely massive. So we definitely opted to kill her first. And if she's up last, she's also going to be doing Begrudging Waiter. These guys are going to throw food at random people. Don't have any gameplay for this, but I imagine just some small minions are going to come out from the sides of the room, and you could probably kill them off. Doesn't seem that bad, but we'll have more footage of this when more testing becomes available. Lastly, we have Lord Stavros. Lord Stavros is going to be doing a waltz where he's going to stun a particular person and make sure you're not within that path of his waltz, or else you'll also get stunned. When he does get empowered, he's going to be doing an ability called Dark Recital, which is going to chain you to someone else in your raid. So obviously you want to be close to that person so you minimize the amount of damage that you're taking from this chain. Also, you have to be moving with this, because if you're not moving, you're also going to be taking damage as well. So always want to be moving and always want to be close with your partner. The animation for this is pretty obvious. It's just like a huge red beam connecting you two, so should be pretty easy to see who you're connected with. And if he's up last, he's going to be summoning more people to the floor that are also going to stun just like him, I believe. And these guys are going to last for 30 seconds and they are immune to damage, but you can CC them, so that's definitely an option you can do if you're having trouble dodging the stuns. But this ability doesn't seem that bad either. Definitely could be a strong option to leave up last, but we'll have to see when people come up with more optimal strategies for this boss. But I definitely think the waltz is pretty easy to avoid. Lastly, we have the best part about this fight, the intermission, man. All right, so when one of these bosses reaches 50%, your entire raid is going to be needing to head to a spotlight where you will perform a dance. The spotlight location is different for each person in your raid. Make sure you guys are looking out for that. It's going to be completely different for each person. If you do not enter the spotlight, you will die. You just instantly die. And you're going to have to do a sequence of dances in the correct order. So think of Mechatork, where you have to hit the correct button sequence in order to blow up the robot and get out. Basically like this, except you're doing the correct dance sequence. But if you do mess up, you're going to get stunned for 30 seconds. Yes, 30 seconds, man. But I do recommend for this that you do click your abilities. That way you don't actually fat finger a button and you get screwed. Overall, I think this fight is pretty lackluster, man. A lot of the mechanics seem like they need polishing, and some of them just seem like they're thrown in there just to be more annoying rather than harmful. Especially with the mechanic with the shields. Like, here's a shield that comes up and it's delaying how much damage you're doing to the boss, you know? But let me know what you guys think of this fight, man. Do you like these kind of gimmicky fights where they're just completely different from the norm? Let me know in the comments, and be sure to subscribe if you're new here and smash that like button. But until next time, dudes, peace.